In this month's column, my colleagues at the Institute for Compensation Studies and I looked at the relationship between firm performance and executive incentive pay plans, specifically total shareholder return incentive plans. So the idea here is that one might expect to see improved firm performance if you tie an executive's pay with the level of return that shareholders receive. And so this is also the idea behind the SEC's proposed pay for performance rule under Dodd-Frank. I think this project is interesting because the prevalence of this pay metric among the S&P 500 firms between 2005 and 2013 increased substantially. During that time period, it nearly tripled. But that metric alone doesn't tell us the full story, because when we looked at only the firms that offered these plans to their executives, we found that the relative weight of those plans to their long-term incentive pay actually decreased from about 48% to 40% of long-term incentive pay. So how do you balance these 2 points out? Well, it might be that firms are just emphasizing the TSR metrics less in their long-term incentive pay. It could also be that new firms that are just taking up the TSR metric for their CEOs are putting less weight on it intentionally as a way to try out this incentive pay metric. When we looked at the relationship between firm performance and TSR plans, we found no evidence of a relationship that would suggest that these TSR plans improve firm performance. And we did look across several measures ranging from total shareholder return to earnings per share growth, but there was no evidence of a positive impact. Now, how does one resolve all of these facts, and what are the takeaways? For us, the takeaways are that TSR metrics, as currently used, perhaps miss their mark in terms of aligning the interests of shareholders and executives. Now, that's not to say that firms shouldn't work to try to align the incentives of their executives with their shareholders, but that currently the TSR plans are unable to incentivize the executives to increase firm performance. That may be because it's unclear to the executive what specific action they need to take to improve firm performance. But it also may be that the metrics themselves are overly complicated and don't provide sufficient clarity to the executive from the onset.